open with soft, melancholic piano, the sound of rain against a window. ETAAN, voice, quiet, reflective, carrying weight. My name is Ethan Harper. I'm 24 years old, living in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Seattle, Washington. It's just the three of us now. Me, my older sister Lauren, and our stepmother Sarah. My biological father passed away 8 years ago. Car accident on Interstate 5. The medical bills wiped us out completely. After high school, I gave up on college and took a job at a manufacturing plant. The paycheck barely keeps the lights on. Lauren is 26, slender, striking, with long dark hair. She carries a quiet resentment about our poverty. Sarah, my stepmother, is 45, curvaceous, warm, always smiling despite everything. But since Dad died, I've noticed moments when her cheer fades into deep sadness. Never thought of her in any way other than maternal. Music deepens. A slow cello enters. Ethan. One Friday afternoon, Lauren was out with friends. I was supposed to be at work, but I felt under the weather and headed home early. I picked up some groceries, planning a simple dinner. When I pulled into the driveway, the house was quiet. I set the groceries on the counter. Then I approached Sarah's bedroom door. It was closed but not locked. Strange sounds were coming from inside. Soft, rhythmic noises, worried it might be an intruder. I pushed the door open without knocking. What I saw froze me in place. Sarah was standing near the bed, completely bottomless. In her hand was a large cucumber from the kitchen. Her eyes were closed, head tilted back. Face flushed with approaching climax. The vegetable slipped from her grasp and thudded to the carpet just as she realized I was. There, her eyes snapped open in horror. We stood there staring at each other in stunned silence. Tears welled in her eyes as shame overwhelmed her. She grabbed a robe, covering herself hastily. Sobbing quietly, I backed out of the room, mumbling apologies, and retreated to my own bedroom. Music becomes tense. Intimate. Closing parenthesis. Ethan Colon. The next day, an icy silence hung between us. Around mid-morning, Lauren went to take a long shower. Sarah approached me in the kitchen, face flushed. "Ethan," she whispered, "can we talk about yesterday?" She explained how lonely she'd been, how Dad's death left a void no one could fill. At her age, desires didn't just disappear. She couldn't date openly. It would complicate everything. I'm still a woman, Ethan. I have needs. Please don't think badly of me. I felt deep sympathy. Sarah, I understand. Dad's been gone a long time. You're still young. It's normal. I won't say a word. Her relief was visible. She hugged me briefly, tears in her eyes again. The awkwardness eased into something almost conspiratorial. That evening, after Lauren headed out to meet friends, Sarah and I were alone. She sat beside me on the couch, still looking embarrassed. Without meeting my eyes, she handed back the electric grooming trimmer I'd lent her earlier. One used it, she whispered, cheeks burning. "Thank you, Ethan. It worked really well. It's perfect. Better than anything your dad ever bought me." Everything had gotten a little overgrown, but now it's smooth again. Clean. Hearing her say it out loud sent an unexpected jolt through me. Music shifts. Becomes warmer or dangerous. ETAAN. The next morning, I drove to Target. I bought a new ladies' electric trimmer along with some fresh vegetables. I also picked up a couple of large organic cucumbers, remembering how embarrassed she'd been about using kitchen items. When I got home, Lauren was still asleep. I handed Sarah the grocery bag discreetly. She peeked inside, saw the cucumbers, and blushed crimson. "You said you needed them," I teased gently. "And these are the biggest, firmest ones they had. Thought they'd work better." Her eyes widened. Then she laughed, a real warm laugh that lit up her whole face. Later that afternoon, Lauren announced she was heading to a friend's lake cabin for an overnight trip. As soon as her car pulled out, Sarah closed the front door, turned the deadbolt, and looked at me with a mix of nervousness and something else. "Ethan, did you really get those cucumbers for that reason?" I shrugged, pulse racing. I figured it's safer than kitchen stuff, cleaner. The words hung in the air. She stared at me for a long moment, eyes flicking down briefly before meeting mine again. "You are my stepson?" "Ethan, we shouldn't even be talking like this." "I know." Neither of us moved away. Music becomes breathless. Charged. "Ethan, what happened next changed everything. In the darkness of a winter storm that knocked out the power. All the careful boundaries we'd been dancing around vanished." She pressed against me, skin on skin, her voice thick with need. "Just once," she whispered. "Please let me feel alive again." We came together in the pitch-black living room, the storm howling outside masking our sounds. Years of pent-up longing poured out between us. When the power flickered back on, we looked at each other with a mix of satisfaction and fear. "We can't tell anyone," she said. "Especially not Lauren, I know." But it wasn't just once. Music swells, complex and emotional. "Ethan, over the following weeks, our affair deepened. Stolen glances at dinner, quickies when Lauren was out. Sarah bloomed. Her laughter filled the house, her step lighter. I felt like a man for the first time, protective and desired. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, a knock came at the door. An older couple stood there holding documents. "We are looking for Ethan Harper," the woman said, eyes filling with tears. "We are your biological parents." The revelation that followed shattered everything I thought I knew. Rebecca and Daniel had been searching for me for decades. My adoptive father, the man who raised me, had taken me in through military connections after the war. Sarah was never my blood relative. That night after they left, Sarah stood at the kitchen window watching rain streak the glass. All those months, I kept telling myself we were monsters, that I'd taken advantage of my own stepson. "But you were never really mine to begin with." "Not like that." I came up behind her, wrapping my arms around her waist. "Does it change anything for you?" She turned in my arms. "It changes everything. And nothing. I still love what we have, but now I don't have to hate myself for it." Music transitions into the signature. Haunting theme of Light After Dark. Channel introduction. Host. This is where the most forbidden truths find their voice, where love arrives in the most unexpected forms, and secrets either destroy us or set us free. Welcome to Light After Dark. We explore the stories that live in the shadows, the connections that defy convention, the bonds forged in loneliness, and the healing that comes when we finally stop hiding. If you believe that the human heart is too complex for simple judgment, you belong here. Subscribe, tap the bell, because the most profound light is often found after the darkest nights. Music continues, warm and reflective. "Ethan, years have passed now. I'm 26. Sarah is 50. Lauren moved out long ago, building her own life. The house on that quiet tree-lined street became ours. We built something real. Quiet dinners, weekend hikes, lazy Sundays in bed. She came to my graduation when I finished my engineering degree. I was there when she got promoted. We traveled. We laughed. We healed. Rebecca and Daniel visited once. They met Sarah, thanked her for raising their son so well. Rebecca pulled her aside one afternoon. I don't know what was said, but Sarah cried that night in my arms. "She knows," she whispered. "Maybe she does. And maybe she's okay with it." Music softens to a gentle, peaceful melody. Closing parenthesis, Ethan Coulon this morning. We woke to snow, rare for Seattle, and stayed in bed half the day, watching it fall past the window. She is asleep beside me now, breathing soft and steady, one hand resting on my chest. I think back to that afternoon I walked in on her, cucumber in hand, face flushed with private need. I think of the darkness that brought us together, the revelation that set us free. Love does not always come neatly wrapped. Sometimes it arrives messy, forbidden, painful. Sometimes it heals wounds you didn't know you had. Sarah stirs, murmurs my name in her sleep, pulls me closer. I kiss her forehead and close my eyes. Outside, the snow keeps falling, blanketing the world in quiet white. Inside, we are warm together. Home. The final piano note lingers, then fades to silence.